Thank you so much for having us here today. I'm Haley Grieco, and I'm with my partner, Amy Smith, and we are attorneys in New Jersey. And we founded Lawyers Who Launch to support and inspire legal professionals to look at networking strategically and be able to leverage your network efficiently and successfully. Through our law practices, our podcast, and our social media, we are able to network with attorneys and discuss issues that affect their personal lives and offer strategies and insights for networking. We've found that the connections that legal professionals make with one another and with other professionals can have a strong positive impact on their practice. Making those connections requires networking. Networking is such a strategic skill for law students to develop. Now, not just for getting your first job or for starting to bring clients into a firm, but then continuing to build strong, collegial, and supportive relationships. We have had such personal success with networking because it's a skill we intentionally worked on for years, and we've seen the positive results. But we realize that networking is not a skill that comes naturally for most of us. It wasn't natural for us. There is a real need for legal professionals to learn how to network and how to network efficiently. For that reason, we've made it our mission to teach attorneys and law students how to network more intentionally and, as a result, more successfully. So this afternoon, we're going to focus on the top 3 mistakes that we have all made when networking, and of course, strategies on how to fix them. And at the end of the 3 mistakes, we will certainly leave time for questions. So feel free to pop those into the Q&A and we'll get to those at the end of the 3 mistakes. So Amy, if you'll start us off with mistake number 1.
What do you do after you meet a new contact? Do you just toss their business card in a drawer and go about your day? If so, you may be missing out on an opportunity. Following up and following through is essential to professional networking. Before you put that business card in a drawer, ask yourself, what category does this person fall into? Are they a colleague, a resource, or a referral source? A colleague is someone in the same field as you that you may be able to exchange insights with or bounce ideas off of. If you're in law school, these may be your fellow law students. A resource is someone in a different field than you that might be able to exchange information with you or refer business to you. Finally, a referral source is someone situated in a field that tends to be a great referral source for you. This is the person that would send you numerous clients or may give you numerous tips for jobs. Whether you seek referrals for clients or job opportunities, a person who's a referral source is a valuable contact. Once you have an idea of how this person might fit into your world and how you may fit into theirs, you can better target how you network with these contacts. Whether this person is a colleague, a resource, or a referral source, you won't get very far until you commit to following up. Reach out to that contact and set up a time for a phone call or a Zoom or even a lunch. Commit to learning more about their business and their profession and share more about yours and your professional goals. Follow up not just because you may get something out of a contact. Instead, follow up to build a mutually beneficial professional relationship. If you both find value in that relationship, you can both provide value to one another. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes commitment and it takes trust. And the place to start building that commitment and that trust is by following up after that initial meeting. Don't let that business card just sit in your desk. But not every contact needs the same follow-up process. After that initial meeting, you may send a quick email recapping your conversation and advising that you'll keep them in mind as a referral. You can also reiterate how you may be of service to their clients or their contacts. Or you may set up a phone call so that you can learn more about them and their practice. Or you may find yourselves in similar circles where you often see each other at events. Make it a point to go over, say hello, and ask how business is going. After you follow up, follow through. There are so many easy ways you can follow through for your networking contacts and provide value. If you see an interesting article, pass it along to a colleague. When you have an opportunity to make a client referral, make one and let the person know. If you see an opportunity for a speaking engagement, recommend a colleague. Make an introduction that would be a great connection for someone else. Because you have put the work in to follow up with your contacts and get to know who they are and how they conduct business, you can refer and recommend them with confidence, knowing that they will deliver. The magic is in that follow up and follow through. The key is to grow the professional relationship naturally, not transactionally. An easy way to keep in touch and follow up and follow through for your network is to utilize social media platforms, which brings us to our second mistake.
The second mistake is not utilizing and capitalizing on social media for business and networking purposes. There is so much professional networking happening online. Whether you are networking in person or not, online networking is a must. But it can feel like a huge time suck if you don't network online intentionally. So first and foremost, you want to pick your platform. We don't recommend getting on every single platform for your business because there are so many options to network online via social media. But we want you to start, first, we're going to start with some best practice tips for what you choose. First, you're going to assume that potential employers, clients, referral sources, anyone that you're looking to network with will search your name. Search yourself. What do you find? Now, of course, you're free to post anything you want on your social media within the rules of the platform. But if you don't want your potential employer or networking contact to bring it up, consider removing it. A good strategy is developing a professional account on social media platforms that's entirely separate from your personal account. If you choose to have two accounts, increase your privacy settings for your purely personal account. Now, we have to keep in mind that nothing posted online is truly private, but those privacy settings help. And if you have a doubt, maybe you just don't post it. But professionals network on all of the major social media platforms. But there is one that is most popular, and that is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is without a doubt the professional networking site. It can be a great place to connect with other professionals from around the country. But those contacts can accumulate just like the business cards in your drawer. So the key to making LinkedIn a useful part of your networking plan is to engage with your contacts. And LinkedIn makes this very easy, and you can do it in a variety of ways. And many of these strategies you can apply to other social media outlets as well. You can post valuable content. You can comment on posts of others. You can also reconnect with colleagues and classmates and ask them about their updates. Because if you are on LinkedIn, you already know this. Periodically, you will get updates from LinkedIn about different things that are happening in the professional lives of your colleagues. When they post new positions or promotions, you will get an update. That is the perfect opportunity to reach out to someone, whether or not you've seen or spoken to them in a while. And LinkedIn does this for you. You are also able to join or form groups around professional interests or even organizational ties like alumni groups, legal practice areas, regional professional groups, and so much more. So this week, you can take 10 minutes and optimize your LinkedIn profile to increase your networking opportunities. So here are a couple of tips for that refresh. First, you want to include a high quality photo of yourself so that your connections can easily put a face to a name. You don't need to have a professional headshot if you don't already have one. Simply put on a blazer and use the timer on your phone to take a selfie. Our phone cameras are so advanced now, you can take a great photo. LinkedIn also has an incredible headline feature that allows you to write a little something about who you are and what you want that anyone can read without clicking on your profile. If you include a dynamic headline that represents who you are and what opportunities you are currently seeking, when you start to connect with people on LinkedIn, they will be able to read that and will be automatically more interested in connecting with you. You also want to make sure your education is updated. Now, that's not just academic achievements. And it's such an easy way to connect with other alumni. And keep in mind, alumni love supporting other alumni. Don't be afraid to reach out and make a connection with someone that you went to college with, even if you don't know them. Update your experience to mirror your most updated resume so the people that you are connecting with know what you're doing and what you're seeking. And if a past employer has a LinkedIn page, follow it. LinkedIn is also a great place to connect with bar associations. So you are all here through the Beverly Hills Bar Association. If you're not connected with them yet, you should be by the end of the day. And this is great, even if you are thinking about practicing somewhere else than you went to law school, or maybe you're considering a move. You can connect to that local bar association and start making connections before you're even physically there. Many bar associations offer free and reduced cost memberships for students and may host events specifically geared to students or open their events to law student members. If you're unable to attend in-person events, you can still connect online with people from the organization, not even just the organization itself, but the members that engage with the organization by you engaging with the content that they post online. Finally, you also want to make sure you're following your undergraduate and your law school's LinkedIn page, and you'll be kept in the loop with news, events, career opportunities, and so much more. The key with social media networking is decide on a platform. Again, you don't need all of the platforms, but you should be on at least one. And utilize it consistently so that your network can rely upon the way in which you show up online. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to post something every day or that you need to spend a lot of time following people and commenting on everything that they post. Just spend a few minutes here and there consistently, maybe even schedule it in your calendar for 10 minutes or so a week. And that way you're consistently moving forward online. All you really need to do is make a plan that works for you and then execute it. Now, this brings us to our third networking mistake.
Mistake number 3 is failing to have a clear and cohesive plan for all of your networking. Without a cohesive plan and networking strategy, you're likely making networking more stressful and time-consuming than it really needs to be. The first step in a networking plan is considering and verbalizing why you are networking. Who are you seeking to connect with? What value can you provide to others? Once you have defined your purpose for networking, you can better seek out the right people and the right places to spend your networking time. Keep in mind that your networking purpose will change throughout your time in law school, as well as throughout your legal career. For example, if you're a 2L, you may be networking for that summer associate position. As a 3L, you may be looking for that first real attorney job. And as a young attorney, you'll want to network for referral sources and clients. If you can get into the habit and the practice of defining and knowing why you are networking, it will be such a valuable skill to carry throughout your career. With this skill, you can seek out and evaluate the networking events that will be the best use of your time. These will be the events that the types of people you seek to connect with the most will be in large attendance. An intentional networking plan will help you maximize your time and minimize your stress. A great networking plan will allow you to network efficiently and successfully. As we've already said, networking is really about building relationships, and this takes time. There's no way around that. But what does not need to take time is making a plan that you're going to implement to forge and build those relationships. This is where we come in, and exactly why we're talking to you about networking today. It's our goal to help law students and legal professionals learn how to network so that you can spend your time actually networking and building those valuable relationships. As a law student, networking can feel challenging because you've not yet forged your professional identity. So defining your networking purpose and your mission can feel much more difficult. We know, we've been there. We wrote our book, The Law Student's Guide to Networking, and developed the Law Student's Guide to Networking course to meet this need. By following up with your contacts, exploring how you can better leverage your social media, and by developing a plan for how you will network, you can network more successfully without wasting your valuable time.
Networking is very personal to you in your career. Your networking plan is not going to look like your colleague's plan, and it shouldn't. But this is why it is so critically important to identify who you are and what you are seeking. In this way, you can then identify what will serve your ultimate goals. And this might change over time. So starting the practice now will help you readjust in the future once you've met your goals and new goals are on the horizon. Networking is all about building mutually beneficial and long-lasting relationships. So at this point, we would love to know if anyone has any questions about any of the the 3 networking mistakes that we covered. And then once we go through the questions, then we have some other tips and tricks and some other things that will look to discuss.
And if you have any questions about networking in general, not something that we specifically talked about, please drop those questions in as well.
So I don't see any questions yet, but we'll leave it. Oh, here we go.
Okay, the question is, what are the other platforms in addition to LinkedIn?
So that is a great question. Here are a couple of other ones you want to consider. So Instagram is a great professional networking solution, which you may not necessarily immediately think of because it's been very much a personal sharing platform. But there are a ton of attorneys and law students doing amazing professional work on Instagram. We're on Instagram, and we've found it's a way to really be able to connect with people in a way that's very accessible with their different features. We've been playing around with reels and things. And one of the ways that I think attorneys have been particularly successful with Instagram is in showing expertise without giving legal advice, right? Because we don't want to be giving legal advice out on Instagram, but commanding an expertise in the field and being able to reach out beyond your regional and your local area.
Another question is, with LinkedIn, do we use the paid version? You can choose to upgrade to the paid version, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can make great connections without having to use the paid version of LinkedIn. You can connect with, it doesn't limit you who you can connect with using the version that is not paid.
I would also add, in terms of other platforms, there are a lot of people doing great stuff on Twitter. We are not super active on Twitter because we found that our audience kind of lives in another place. So that's one of the reasons why deciding kind of who you are and what you want and who are the people that you're looking to reach, and then figuring out where those people are. That's why LinkedIn is such a great place, but search around on the different platforms, decide who you want to target, and then search around and see what other people in your space are doing and what kind of engagement and interaction they get with people you're looking for, whether you're looking for job opportunities, whether you're looking for referral sources. Where are the people that you want to be networking with? Similar to an in-person event.
And I think it also gives you a great opening to connect with someone. If you are following a law, if you're interested in a particular law firm and they have a big Instagram presence, for example, and you follow them and you engage with their content, and then you send your resume and your cover letter because you want to work there. If you mention their content, the fact that you follow them, I think that would give you a kind of a warm touch. It wouldn't be so much a cold call. And that might move you from a stack of resumes to a much shorter stack that gets an interview.
So we will leave here we go. All right. You want to read the questioning?
Oh, sure. It says, at the risk of sounding new, should I check or be active on LinkedIn like I am on Facebook or Instagram?
That is a great question.
Mm-hmm. You can choose to be as active as you want to be. I believe the key there is just to be consistent. If you're going to be on LinkedIn, be on there, be active on LinkedIn 3 days a week. So at least 3 days a week, go on LinkedIn, post a status, comment on someone else's, share an article, reach out to someone, build that consistency on LinkedIn so that you can build those connections and grow those connections and strengthen them. So I don't think there's a hard and fast rule as to how active you should be. I think it's more important that you're consistent with your connecting on LinkedIn.
That's exactly what it is. It's the consistency and what can you handle? Can you handle 5 minutes, 3 days a week? If you can, then that's a great place to start and a great quick thing that you can do. You don't need to spend hours scrolling through people's content and commenting on everything that you see. And another great tip with that is when you see something interesting, take an extra second and think about what your comment is going to be, or maybe your question that you pose, because our usual response is just to post like great or do a thumbs up, and those are all totally fine. But now if you maybe do a little bit more, maybe you ask a question, maybe you make an interesting observation. Now the person that's posted that is going to come back and answer your question or respond to what you're saying. And now you're starting to make a connection. So then maybe when you post something, that person that will recognize your name and say, oh, I wonder what they've posted. I've interacted with them. The number of people that we have met just by doing that on LinkedIn is pretty amazing. And you get some really strong connections just by taking an extra 30 seconds to think about what is a way that I can show up that is going to invite a response, and be valuable to the person that I'm commenting on. Because newsflash, if they're on LinkedIn and they're posting stuff, they want comments, they want questions. So they're happy to continue to engage with you if you just put out a little bit more. So in the LinkedIn discussion, I think it might be a good time to talk about tracking networking contacts, because this is something that I think most people don't do, something that we are huge proponents of, and we'll talk about that for a minute. So Amy, do you want to talk a little bit about why we want to be tracking our networking contacts?
Definitely. As we've said throughout our talk today, networking is about building those mutually beneficial professional networking relationships. It's not just what can you get from someone else, but what you can offer as well. You both want to bring value to the relationship. So by keeping some kind of tracking system of your networking contacts, you could know immediately who you should be referring to them, who can you be on the lookout for to make a connection for them. You can also keep in mind where you met them, because if you met this person and they were a great connection, maybe it's because of, in addition to their personality, of course, maybe it's because of the industry that they're in. And if you met them at some type of industry event, if you return to that event, you may make more great connections that you can go from simply being connected with to building a relationship that will be mutually beneficial for you both.
So now we understand a little bit about why we want to be doing this, but let's talk about how we do it. So we have actually developed something that is what will do it for you. It's a database spreadsheet. It's a networking contact tracking sheet that will allow you to input the name and a whole bunch of information about your networking contact right into this database. And you'll see it. So in conjunction today, we have provided a handout with the 3 networking mistakes with some highlights so you can remember what we talked about today. And we have a special bundle offer. And one of the things in the bundle is this networking contact sheet. And it's pretty simple and straightforward. And the great thing about tracking these contacts is you don't know when you're going to use them, but at some point you will use them. And starting to think about now, at whatever point you are in your career, having a central location where you can keep notes about people that you meet, be it online or in person, is something that you can't quite appreciate until you have this already on your fingertips. Because unfortunately with LinkedIn, you can't put notes on somebody's profile. And you're not going to put every person that you meet in LinkedIn in the context of your phone. So this is a great place to go. The other amazing benefit of tracking contacts, and this brings us right back to networking mistake number 1, is that follow up and follow through. Follow up and follow through is one of the most important things to do when you're networking. And that is the thing that's really going to bring you the long-term success. So if you incorporate tracking networking contacts as part of your networking plan, you can, if you have, maybe you schedule yourself, okay, this day I'm going to go through my networking contacts and see who I should be following up with, because I am looking for X, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're looking for. It doesn't really matter. It could be anything. And you go to your networking contact sheet and you say, oh, I forgot about this person. I should follow up with them. Or, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a while. And it's like a one-stop shop for everyone that you want to be professionally connected with. And then the other amazing piece of it, because this thing comes in handy, like you wouldn't believe. So if you're a law student now, you will know this soon. You might already, because people probably already asking you for like lawyers and legal advice. But if you're an attorney, you definitely know this. Once you're an attorney, everyone thinks you know every attorney. Everyone thinks you know about every area of law. And you're constantly being asked for questions and or referrals. Usually people ask the question and then you say, I should make a referral because I don't know anything about this. This is a great place for you to bring value to someone in your network. So when someone comes to you and says, you know, Aunt Mary comes to you and says, oh, I need someone that does estate planning. Maybe you know someone off of the top of your head, but if you don't, you can go right to your network contact sheet and say, oh, that's right. I met this great person and they do estate planning. Let me reach out to them. Let me connect with them. Let me start building those relationships.
And you'll find that as you get into practice, as Haley said, there are certain industries and certain professionals that you will often be making referrals to. In my practice, I am an estate planning attorney, so I often make referrals to accountants, or I receive referrals from financial advisors. So these are people that even if I don't have a referral to make right now, I want to make sure that I connect with them periodically so that we can continue to build our networking relationship. We can continue to strengthen our professional relationship.
Now, a question that we are often asked is, how can you network as an introvert? So many of us, even if you don't necessarily feel like a quote unquote introvert, feel like networking is overwhelming and scary, and you don't exactly know where to start, or you just feel uncomfortable. And especially after the pandemic and starting to get out into real life and meeting real people face to face again, that just makes the anxiety of networking even higher. So when we start to answer this question, this is something for you to keep in mind. You don't have to do it all today. You don't have to do it all tomorrow, and you don't have to do it all next week. You don't have to attend every networking event that you learn about to be successful. And quite frankly, you don't have time to do that. That's not what's going to be successful for you. What you should keep in mind is you want to take slow, measured steps. Maybe you don't commit to more than one event in a week. Give yourself the time after that event to regroup. And maybe you have a goal at the event. Maybe you say, okay, I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to introduce myself to 3 people. And that's what I'm going to do. That doesn't seem too overwhelming. But the beauty of what we're talking about here, and especially with following up and following through, is once you meet those people, you don't have to meet everybody that attends the event in order to start making meaningful connections. Because you can't network meaningfully and thoughtfully and carefully with everyone that you've ever met in your life. That just is too much. It's too many people. Because keep in mind, we've said this many times, and we say it a lot. Networking is about mutually beneficial relationships, not how many people can I meet. It's, can I meet the people that I want to be connected with? And then how do I turn that meeting into a relationship? Another great tip in the being a little bit scared to go to a networking event is go with a friend. Amy and I went to law school together. That's where we met. And we would always go to networking events together. I don't think I went to one without her.
And we didn't stay glued together the whole time, but it was helpful to know that we were going to walk in together, separate while we networked. And it gave us a comfort level to know that we did know one other person in the room.
So you just want to make sure that you give yourself some grace, because it takes time to feel comfortable and confident when you're networking. Again, this is not an overnight affair. This is a long-term situation, because that's what's going to bring you long-term success. We aren't looking for just one relationship that's going to make our whole career. That's not how a career in the law works. It's all about leveraging relationships and having relationships that you can go back to over years and years and years. And then you can have those people introduce you to other people. Because even if you have a plan for your career, things change, goals change, life events happen. So your base of networking is the thing that's going to get you through those times in your life when either things happen that change your path or you change your own path. And both of those will probably happen to you maybe multiple times in your career. But having that base of people underneath you is the thing that will support you, because you don't have to be in it alone. And when you're networking, it might feel really awkward at first. Maybe you haven't been to a networking event in a couple of years. Just try, practice. It will get easier. Commit to events, find something. Maybe you find something on a smaller scale. You find something with people that you know already will be attending. It gets easier, but you have to try.
We hope we've inspired you to take steps today to turn some contacts that may be in your desk drawer into meaningful connections and meaningful, professional, mutually beneficial relationships.
Does anyone else have any other questions before we start to wrap it up? So again, we will thank the Beverly Hills Bar Association for inviting us to be here today. As I mentioned before, we've provided our quick reference guide, your 3 biggest networking mistakes, and that's going to be provided to everyone. So at the end of that resource guide, we have a couple of things for you. We have some special offers exclusive to the Beverly Hills Bar Association, which is the Law Student's Guide to Networking book and course. So just a brief thing about the book and the course. So the Law Student's Guide to Networking, as Amy said, was really born out of our understanding of our networking journey, where we were in law school and we quite frankly had no idea what to do. And over the course of many years in practice, we developed a plan and a strategy for networking. And Amy and I practice in very different areas. Amy is an estate planning attorney. I practice medical malpractice defense litigation. So 2 practice areas are completely different. But our plan for how we network is developed in the same way. Our goals are different. Our clients are different. Our networking contacts are very different. But the way that we strategically think about how to find those people and then nurture those relationships is the same and is at the core of the book and the course, which really lays out how to develop a networking plan that is going to work for you and your goals. Also included in the bundle with the book is the networking contact tracking sheet. We also have a resume tracker in there, because if you're looking for a job, you should be tracking every resume that goes out of your email address, and then also a quick interview prep sheet, which is always helpful. And then at the end of the handout, we also have our top 5 podcast episodes for networking strategy. So Lawyers Who Launch, we have a podcast, and we talk about a lot of different issues, and we focus a lot on networking, of course. And we have different episodes. So we handpicked 5 episodes that really delve into many of the strategies that you will find to be successful and really, really useful. So you can get that all in the handout.
Make sure to connect with us on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, we're at Lawyers Who Launch. And we'd like to thank you again to the Beverly Hills Bar Association for bringing us here today. We hope you all have a great day.